guys, welcome to week 5. This video is to just guide anyone who's feeling like they need a little bit more support. It's also for students who missed any class on week 5. The first part of class this week in class, in the actual classroom, we went over what was going to go on this week online a little bit, kind of talking about how this is our last week with Wild Mind. We also talked a little bit about essay number 1, your first essay for the semester. You've done a lot of writing. You even did your 2-pagers, which are due officially at the end of this week. I think it's February 8th. Where's my calendar? Check your calendar on that. Saturday. Check your online calendar if you're not sure. But we discussed moving into essay number 1. And we also started to do some preparation for that. So essay number 1, you are going to be responding to Natalie Goldberg's story, Stalker and Dreamer, from page 21 of Wild Mind. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the prompt real quick. Close your eyes so you don't get, where'd it go? It's at the end of your packet. It has the zoomie on it. The little symbol for New Mexico, Santa Fe, right here. So we went over the prompt very, very quickly in the first part of the week. I just actually pointed out to where it was. We didn't actually discuss it. What we did in class is we read page 21, Stalker and Dreamer. It's about 3.5 pages, the short story. And we clustered it in our journals. So we made Stalker and Dreamer in the center of our journal, and then we clustered anything that we noticed while we were reading it, things that stood out to us, golden lines, quotes, Natalie Goldberg's argument in that piece. We took all of our annotations from reading it, the things that we noticed, and we put them onto our cluster in our journal so we could kind of see what the reading looked like. That way when you do a summary, you can look back at your cluster for the ideas from the reading. We also pulled a golden line and did a free write on our own. So if you missed the first part of class this week, then you're going to want to catch up on that by doing that particular assignment of reading and annotating Wild Stalker and Dreamer, and then clustering it and free writing it on your journal. As far as later this week, what we did and what we will be doing for Thursday class is breaking down this actual prompt. So looking at the specific components. So this is actually one prompt, but within it you have 3 options. You can choose 1, 2, or 3. So that's what I'm going to look at in this video for those of you who missed it, or for those of you who want to go over it one more time. Again, this is your first official essay. It's worth 100 points. It's a lot of points. It's 10% of your grade. And it's really your opportunity to trust in the writing process, to follow the writing process through of having ideas, brainstorming, talking through those ideas with others, beginning to drafting an actual essay, getting feedback on that from a peer or myself or a tutor, and then turning in your final essay, at the end of next week. Not this week, but next week. So it's a lot of process, right? You could just sit down and write the whole essay if you want, but for those of you that really want to embrace the writing process, you're going to take it step by step. And again, we already read and annotated and clustered and free wrote about Stalker and Dreamer, fleshing out ideas. But for the lab sessions this week, if you missed it, we're breaking down the prompt. So we're going to do that together a little bit. So the only disadvantage about making a video here instead of you seeing me in the classroom is you don't get to see me writing on the board. So we came up with a really cool outline in my Wednesday class that I can't really outline with you online because I don't have that technology. I will have it soon, but right now I don't have it. But for now, we're going to go over the prompt. So essay number 1, timed writing Stalker and Dreamer. So it's timed in the sense that you have 2 weeks to do it. You have 2 weeks to show me your process and your product. Your first essay is a chance for us to get to know you better by hearing your thoughts on Goldberg's story, Stalkers and Dreamers. Your task is to write a well-organized, thoughtful 5-paragraph essay in response to the story and one of the prompts below. You must summarize and draw on Goldberg's text in your essay. So here are the 3 options. You're going to choose one. Please choose the one that gets you excited and wanting to write. That's the one that's where the energy is the positive energy, and you're going to have positive effort in the right direction. So again, I'm going to go over all 3, and you can pick the one that excites you the most. Number 1, what is Goldberg's thesis or main point in Stalkers and Dreamers? Do you agree or disagree, or perhaps both, and why? Be sure to summarize her story and quote from it in your essay to support your points. So if you choose option number one is a traditional academic essay. It's where you look at the writer's argument, you summarize it, and then you add your own view on the argument, agreeing or disagreeing, and why. Give me reasons. It's very simple, it's very to the point. You probably have a lot of practice doing this kind of essay, and so if you're very comfortable with academic writing, traditional academic writing, you're going to choose option number one. Option number two is, what is Goldberg's thesis or main point in Stalkers and Dreamers? Are you a stalker or dreamer? Please explain. Or both. You should add that on there. It should be on there, sorry. Be sure to summarize her story and quote from it in your essay to support your points. Option number three. So for backup, option number two is if you are excited and wanting to write or explore who you are as a writer, as a dreamer or a stalker, then you're going to want to choose option number two. This is your chance to kind of think about the ways in which you've learned in different learning environments, learning different things, and what kind of learning comes out in you. Is it the stalker that comes out? Is it the dreamer that comes out? What does that look like for you? So then you'll choose option number two. Option number three here is, what is Goldberg's thesis or main point in Stalkers and Dreamers? Compare and contrast a stalker and a dreamer in your own life. How are they similar and how are they different? What is significant about this? Be sure to summarize her story and quote from it in your essay to support your points. So if you choose option number three, you're going to be doing a compare and contrast. So many of you have done a compare and contrast essay, and that's where you look at ways in which they're similar, ways in which they're different. When you decide who you're going to choose to talk about as stalker and dreamer, you can decide to choose yourself. I could write an essay about myself in comparison to my twin sister. We're extremely different. She's definitely more stalker. I'm definitely more dreamer. But we both have the opposite qualities as well. And so it really just depends on kind of how you learn and what you're learning as well. So again, you can compare and contrast two people. It could be yourself. It could be your brother and sister. It could be your mom and dad. Two people that you think are striking and comparable. You'd want to actually compare and contrast. So these are your three options. Choose one that excites you, and then begin brainstorming. So in class, what you missed, if you missed class this week, lab, what we did was we brainstormed how this might look. And so I'm just going to go up to the graphic organizers that are in your packet. I'm scrolling till I find one of them. There's a couple of them. And really what they help you do is they help you look at a 5-paragraph essay structure. So this is something you guys have done your whole life, something that you're probably very familiar with. And this is kind of an outline for what it looks like. We have our introduction, we have our thesis, we have our body paragraphs 1, 2, and 3, and then we have our conclusion. Now, for the purposes of essay number 1, I'm asking you to write a simple 5-paragraph essay. If you would like to write more than that, that's fine. You want to make sure all of your ideas connect and that there's a certain flow to it. If you make it longer, it's super important. But essentially, we're looking at a 5-paragraph essay structure. It's quite simple. Introduction, body paragraphs, conclusion. This is something you've done your whole life. Beginning, middle, end. Right? And so that's what you're going to do for this. So as an example for one of those prompts, say I chose to write about myself as a dreamer. I would skip the introduction for now while I'm brainstorming. And again, if you're in your packet, you can actually just bust out your packet and you can write in it. You can actually write on your outline, or you can just open up your journal and write in your journal. You can do it either way. What I want you to do with this actual graphic organizer is I want you just to imprint kind of what it looks like. Some of us were taught to write like our essay is like a hamburger or a veggie burger, and it has 2 buns. That's the intro and the conclusion, and then inside of it is the stuff, right? The stuff that we want to eat. The veggie patty, the Boca burger, the Impossible burger, the Beyond burger, or for some of you, a cow or a chicken, right? And that's where your meat is. That's where your actual tomatoes and lettuce and all that stuff is in your body paragraphs. But we're going to use the example of option number 2. Prompt number 2 is writing about yourself as a stalker or dreamer or both. So for the example of this particular one, I'm just going to say dreamer. If I were writing about myself as a dreamer, I would think about 3 ways in which I'm a dreamer. And I would also think about the reading. I would look back at the reading and I would kind of ask myself, okay, what do I know about dreamers? I know one thing, that they go by an inward vision. In what way do I go by an inward vision? So maybe for me, my first example would be when it comes to my writing, when it comes to creating something, whether it's crafting or whether it's writing something, I go by my inward vision. I bust out my journal and I just start writing, and I imagine the things that I want to share with people, and I try to express those things with my words in a way that my reader, the person that I want to hear my story, receives the fullness of what my heart is trying to share. And so that would be an example, perhaps, of going by an inward vision. When it comes to myself as a writer, I go by an inward vision. That might be body paragraph 1. And I would talk about that, and I would give examples of what that looks like. So body paragraph 2, I might talk about how when it comes to roller skating, I am a dreamer. So rather than YouTubing, oh, how do you roller skate? I would just put on the skates and figure it out by falling, by holding on to things, by trying to hold my core in, by balancing. I went with my kids to the Skating Plus about a month ago. It was for my daughter's 6th birthday. That's what she wanted to do. So the family went to Skating Plus, and I had ordered a pair of roller skates from Posh that I got for Christmas. And I took my roller skates and the kids, and we all went to Skating Plus. And I put on the roller skates, and I hadn't roller skated in probably at least 15 years. Was it tricky? Absolutely. But did I know how to do it from being a kid? I did. When it comes to roller skating or any kind of athletics, I am definitely a dreamer. I'm going to try it out. I'm going to see what it feels like. I'm going to practice it. I'm going to try to learn the rules by just playing rather than reading a book about the rules of basketball or the rules of skating. So again, my first body paragraph is about how I'm a dreamer as a writer. My second body paragraph is about how I'm a dreamer as a roller skater. And my third body paragraph would be about, let's see, when it comes to teaching, I would definitely say that I am a dreamer. I think about all these ideas that I have and things I want to share and ways I could share them, and then I integrate them into my curriculum. So an example I would give here in body paragraph 3, if I were talking about myself as a dreamer teacher, would be integrating a book like Wild Mind or The Book of Joy. Those are both 2 books that I discovered on my own, that I fell in love with, that I brought into the classroom in my dreaming so I could dream and share with other people. So again, if I were writing an essay on myself as a dreamer, I would come up with 3 ways in which I'm a dreamer, but connecting them to the actual story and what dreamers do. So I made a copy of the reading, so I'm just looking at the copy of the reading. Dreamers go by an inward vision. They have to figure it out by themselves. Those are 2 of the main things that stand out to me in terms of dreaming. Inward perception or inward knowing versus outside knowing or outwardly knowing. And so those would be things I would integrate into my body paragraphs. When it comes to your introduction, what you're doing is you're opening up a universe. And when you're introducing a story like Stalkers and Dreamers or Stalker and Dreamer from Natalie Goldberg, you would be summarizing what that looks like for your reader. You would introduce it by name, by title. You could share that it came from Wild Mind and that Natalie Goldberg wrote it. And you could kind of summarize the story for your reader. Pretend like your reader hasn't read it. So that's some of the things you do in an introduction. You also kind of present your thesis. So a thesis you might have for an argument or a main point about who you are as a dreamer, if you pick that, or if you pick Stalker, but for this example we're doing Dreamer, would be, there are many ways in which I am a dreamer, and all of them are connected to who I am as a creator, and all of them are connected to me creatively. So what I get from my dreamer is my creativity. That might be my thesis. And then I would talk about, again, my writing, my roller skating, and my teaching, and how all of those are creative acts for me. Dreamer creativity. And then in my conclusion, I don't really know what would be there yet, because I'd have to flesh out my ideas and then see what beautiful inspiration comes out of, or what lessons come out of that. And that's probably what I would leave my reader with. But again, here's 5-paragraph essay structure. If you missed it in class, I hope that you enjoy the process. Pick something that inspires you and that you want to have fun with, and brainstorm and enjoy the process.